I'm so excited to see how McLaren fares, right? Because they're going to continue to upgrade their car heading into the Hungarian Grand Prix after what was a great showing at Silverstone. But which McLaren are we going to see, Laurence? Because, previous tracks certainly suited their car. You are the expert, not me, but this track doesn't necessarily seem to lend itself to that car's traits.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It doesn't. So the where the McLaren was doing so well at Silverstone, especially, was in the high speed corners, and there aren't many of those around Budapest. So it is a different kind of, yeah. It requires different performance kind of factors from the car. The other thing is heat. It's going to be very hot, we think, this weekend. The McLaren has struggled with tire degradation throughout the season. They've made some progress with that, and actually this smaller update, which has come into Hungary, which is almost like the third installment that they've done over the last three races, that is aimed at trying to just not necessarily outright performance, but how the car looks after its tires. So I guess there's some hope that if that works, then it will provide a bit of a breakthrough as well. But Andrea Stella, who is the McLaren team principal, was speaking after the Silverstone result, and he said, actually, we're not expecting to be as fast in Hungary, but we're quite looking forward to Hungary because it's going to either confirm or deny a few kind of suspicions we have about this car, and if it exposes the flaws, at least we know where we have to work. So I think they're going into it expecting to be, some way back down the order. And don't forget, it doesn't take much to knock you from the best of the rest behind Red Bull to outside the top 10, because you've got Ferrari, Aston Martin, Mercedes, Alpine, all fairly competitive at different types of tracks. So yeah, just a few things going against you, perhaps not getting the setup quite dialed in early on, can actually push you a long way down that order. So I think they're keen to see and basically validate a few ideas that they have around the car, and also know where to work on next.
Lando Norris obviously had a beautiful performance at Silverstone, but Oscar Piastri has just been so dang impressive. Can you just describe what we've seen, Nate, from him over the last few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, Silverstone was really impressive because he had a race where he didn't have the upgrade. Lando kind of stole the headlines when it came to Austria. Oscar gets the upgrade, and a bit like you mentioned with Perez, I think when a driver gets an upgrade, it always puts you under pressure. And if you're a rookie like he is, you always wonder how they're going to react to that situation. And he was fantastic at Silverstone. It's probably the first weekend of this F1 rookie season of his where you started to think that's the guy that Zach Brown kind of was willing to go to court with to get out of that Alpine deal. And just looked really flawless all weekend. He didn't really make any mistakes, and actually should have really been on the podium. If that safety car hadn't come when it did, it would have been two McLaren drivers up there, and Lewis probably would have been in fourth. So really, really impressive. I mean, it's hard always to make a sweeping kind of generalization based off one race, but at the same time, Piastri, his results, if you look at them on paper, they're not incredibly impressive. He had two positions in the points, two races in the points before Silverstone, but there's been no major mistakes. There's not been any moments where it's like, oh, Piastri really looks out of his depth here. And sometimes as a rookie, that's all you really need to be doing, especially when you're replacing a guy that really struggled to match Lando's pace in Daniel Ricciardo. I think he's doing really well. And he's another one of these kind of young talents that is frighteningly chilled about everything. He doesn't really seem that bothered by, everybody talking about how great he is and all this stuff. And we saw that with Max at a young age. We've seen that with a few of the other guys at a young age. And it just suggests this unbelievable level of confidence in themselves. And I think, obviously early days yet, but Piastri does seem like a mega talent. And I think, you talk to people at McLaren as well, and they're super impressed with him, how he's come in, adapted. And just kind of, I think already when you talk to him, he exudes a bit of confidence as if he's been in F1 for a little while longer than 10 races.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.